Camera just went down that time. Oh, my lord. How about that? Unbelievable. Damn thing is. What is going on? So you won't get dizzy, and then I'll tell you when it's ready. I don't know what happened just then, folks. Camera wants to have problems. Doesn't surprise me. I mean, nothing's in a hurry today. I'll tell you that right now. What is going to say? Okay. Whew. Wow. Sorry, guys. We are going to do the best I can for y'all. But we have a lot of news. 12 breaking news at the same time in a row. Okay. But we're going to start off with a challenge. Started 18th with a lot of laps. Can I get it done? EA Sports is not in the game. What this news is, I'm trying to save your life because you just don't even know what they're doing with the internet, and they're understand I'm doing this for your safety, not mine. So I could care less about me, but I do care about y'all, even though a bunch of y'all thinks this is a joke. Well, this is not a joke no more. Breaking news though. I hope y'all are ready for this. Enjoy. Well, shoot. Really?
Why wouldn't elections?
Alright, do the run.
Greetings, citizens of the world. Broward County elect and federal laws by destroying ballots has received funding from George Soros in the form of legal aid, according to court records. Why would an elections supervisor, supposedly a neutral, non-partisan position, receive funding from the most famous and influential far-left activist in the world? Brenda Snipes, who yet again is facing an investigation into her failure to comply with Florida election law, was recently assisted by two organizations financed by billionaire activist George Soros in response to a lawsuit from a conservative group accusing her of maintaining inaccurate voter rolls. Snipes is currently at the center calling for her removal due to past legal problems. There is no question that Broward County Supervisor of Elections Brenda Snipes failed to comply with Florida law on multiple counts, undermining Floridians' confidence in our electoral process, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush tweeted on Monday. Supervisor Snipes should be removed from her office following the recounts. Breitbart report. Last March, a judge ruled that Snipes had implemented a reasonable effort to remove the names of ineligible voters from the official lists of eligible voters by reason of death or change of address. The ruling came in response to a 2017 case population, age and citizenship to claim that Snipes was failing to take steps to maintain accurate voter rosters. In the case, Snipes testified that year-olds, felons, duplicate registrations, invalid commercial addresses, and that had improbably high voter registration rates. Snipes testified that some people who have been registered are not eligible to vote and they slip through. This is a huge job that has so many pieces, especially when dealing with a roll of 1.1 million voters that is constantly changing, Snipes said. Sure, you're going to have mistakes. Security death information to determine if any voters have died out of state. She could access the state's driver and vehicle information database, called David, to more quickly identify voters whose addresses have changed. She could review jury forms that indicate when individuals are excused from service because they no longer live in the county or are non-citizens. Notably, the intervener in the case on Snipes' behalf was the CU Union's United Healthcare Workers East, which was represented on the matter by lawyers from Demos and Project Vote, both of which are funded by Soros. An intervener allows a non-party to join an ongoing lawsuit. Stuart Nafet, senior counsel at Demos, was the lead attorney in the case. Also representing the intervener on behalf of the litigation against Snipes' vote. Demos says his mission is to ensure an equal say in our democracy and an equal chance in our economy. Soros's Open Society Foundations is a prominent donor to Demos. Demos has pushed for what it calls fair redistricting and an end to prison gerrymandering in the 2020 census. In other words, counting incarcerated people in the census. At issue is whether to count incarcerated people as residents of prison locations. A 2014 study examining voter trends of prisoners in 3 states found the majority of convicts voted for Democrats. Demos previously worked closely with the now-defunct Acorn, even putting out joint reports with Acorn and Project Vote. Acorn shuttered after its workers were ensnared in a voter registration fraud scandal. The other intervener in the Snipes case, Project Vote, is not only a grantee of Soros's Open Society Foundations but is listed as a partner. Another form of partnership is also of enormous importance to the Soros Foundations. The relationships with grantees that over the years have developed into alliances in pursuing crucial parts of the Open Society agenda, reads. The alliance between Project Vote and Soros's foundations was for registering voters in the United States and analyzing election law. When Snipes and 248 county election officials were presented with a notice from conservative judicial groups threatening a lawsuit last year if they did not call the voting rolls of deceased or ineligible voters, Demos and the heavily Soros-financed Brennan Center for Justice at the New York University Law School offered to help. Over the weekend, Florida Governor Rick Scott, whose Senate election is up for recount, case of Broward's ballot counting and past wrongdoings by Snipes. A judge ruled that Snipes destroyed ballots too soon in a critical 2016 congressional race in which former Democratic National Convention, DNC, Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz won re-election. Snipes was also ordered by a judge earlier this year to change the way she handles mail-in ballots after her office was accused of opening them in secret. Over the weekend, the Miami Herald reported that Snipes' office mixed 20 rejected ballots with a sampling of 2. Discrepancy was reportedly found only after uproar from the Republican Party resulted in the Broward County Canvassing Board inspecting those provisional ballots.
Y'all about that, folks. Huh? Vote frauder did. I believe I did. You want to go back and look at it, you can. But hey, you listen to QAnon and you listen to the lies of QAnon, because QAnon is like and that's all I got to say. Now I'm gonna tell you something straight up right now, okay? I'm not reading y'all's comments. Okay, I'll tell you why. I'm not here to argue with you. It's closer. What do we get? Crazy wild weather. All right, here we go. We're going to go to the next story because I don't have a lot of time to answer any questions today. We've got too much news, even Russian news. Okay, folks, check this out. Enjoy breaking news on Mueller.
One of the prosecutors has greetings, citizens of the world. An attorney who appeared before the Mueller grand prosecutors has close ties to the Clinton Foundation. While the mainstream media continue to grasp at straws and make up wild conspiracy theories to explain Hillary's disastrous loss in 2016, the truth about the phony Russian allegations is finally coming to light. For months they've been running with the idea that legendary conservative operative Roger Stone was directly communicating with Julian Assange and was working with him to leak damaging information on Hillary about WikiLeaks were based on information that public at the time he made them. It's complete nonsense. Not only that, but there's a pretty big conflict of interest going on when it comes to the investigation into Roger Stone, and the mainstream media doesn't seem to want to cover it. An attorney who appeared as a witness before the Mueller grand jury is accusing the special counsel's office of a conflict of interest because one of the prosecutors involved in the special counsel's case has worked for Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. The prosecutor, Jeannie Rhee, has questioned witnesses about Roger Stone, the Trump confidant who is one of the foundation. Rhee questioned Tyler Nixon, an attorney for Stone, just before his grand jury appearance on November 2nd. Rhee's involvement was not disclosed to me prior to my testimony, and message from Roger Stone. Interesting how Democrats are always yelling and screaming about how Republicans should recuse themselves for ridiculous reasons, and it's totally fine for Clinton lawyers to be all over the Russia investigation and Democrats to be all over the special counsel. Another gross double standard.
That was one of the stories. Down. I'm surprised I'm on. If I have to, I'll do a replay on Facebook Live for free. I'm doing the best I can, guys. We've got Mother Nature on our heels, like I predicted. All right, breaking news. Migrant climbs fence. Like I said, Stony Stone, I'm going to bring you down every time something happens. Oh, by the way, if you did not go to that video and look at it, got him and his preacher as a pedophile. Bam. Don't tell me I don't know nothing. Just ice on the ground here. Doesn't surprise me. Just get ready. It's going to get worse for everyone. Just mark my words. When war gets closer, we get the crazy weather. We got ice on the internet. We got ice on the power lines. We are going to have problems today. But this needs to get out. I'm doing the best I can. Y'all come back in and out. The internet is great right now. It says 100. We got to get back to work, guys. I don't have time to stop and talk. I'm sorry. We've got 10 more.
Are struggling to deal with buses carrying hundreds of the migrants. Thousands of Central American migrants are still on the move through Mexico, headed toward the border. Mexican officials in Tijuana, along the border with California, are struggling to deal with buses carrying hundreds of the migrants. Associated Press correspondent Ed Donahue reports. Razor wire security barriers. On the buses were people like Joshua Vargas from Honduras. He says Mexico has been excellent. We have no complaints about Mexico. The United States remains to be seen. Dozen of the first migrants to arrive scaled the steel border fence to celebrate, chanting, "Yes, we could." One man dropped over the U.S. side briefly as border agents...
What does "yes, we could" mean? I'm not even thinking about racing. I'm just putting this out here for y'all to listen to this fucking news because y'all are being shadow banned. And I tell you what, everything that I have said in the last 4 years is coming true. Up and quit asking stupid questions.
Watched from a distance, he quickly ran back to the fence. Mexico has offered refuge, asylum, or work visas, but many of these people have their sights set on the U.S.
Migrants in a caravan of Central Americans scrambled Wednesday to reach the U.S. border.
That's right. Yes, we can means yes, we could. Y'all need to wake up, folks. Obama said he was going to win the war on Christmas. He's about to if you don't wake the fuck up.
Via security barriers. Mexican officials in Tijuana were struggling to deal with a group of 398 that arrived Wednesday. Mexico has been excellent. We have no complaint about Mexico. The United States remains to be seen, said Josue Vargas, a migrant from Honduras who finally pulled into Tijuana on Wednesday after more than a month on the road. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, meanwhile, went to visit U.S. troops posted to the border in South Texas and said the deployment provides good training for war. President Donald Trump has said the caravan of migrants amounts to an invasion. That didn't deter. On Tuesday, a couple of dozen migrants scaled the steel border fence to celebrate their arrival, chanting "Yes, we could." And one man dropped over to the U.S. side briefly as border agents watched from a distance. He ran quickly back to the fence. Tijuana's head of migrant services, Cesar Palencia Chavez, said authorities offered to take the migrants to shelters immediately, but they initially refused. They wanted to stay together in a single shelter, Palencia Chavez said, but at this time that's not possible because shelters are designed for smaller groups and generally offer several. With a total of 3 caravans moving through Mexico including 7,000 to 10,000 migrants in all, questions arose as to how Tijuana would deal with such a huge influx, especially given U.S. moves to tighten border security and make it harder to claim asylum. On Wednesday, buses and trucks carried some migrants into the state of Sinaloa along the Gulf of California and further northward into the border state of Sonora.
Well, I'm just telling you right now, folks, it ain't just the migrants that's coming in, folks. I showed you what was coming in yesterday. China looks just like Red Dawn, folks. I'm telling you straight up, from my grandfather's grave and my grandmother's grave, they're coming. I'm telling you, wake the fuck up.
Bulk of the main caravan appeared to be about 1,100 miles, 1,800 kilometers, from the border, but was moving hundreds of miles per day. The Reverend Miguel Angel Center, director of the Casa de Migrant, House of the Migrant, in Sinaloa area. He said the state government, the Roman Catholic Church and city officials in Escuinapa, Sinaloa, were held. Good people to provide buses for moving migrants northward. He said so far 24 buses had left Escuinapa on an 8-hour drive to Navojoa in Sonora State.
I'm going to say this one more time. All the 13 world banks even did this. Y'all are fucked because you didn't fight for your country. You sat there and said that this wasn't ever going to happen to America. Guess what? It's happening. And do you know why? Because you ain't woke up yet, and you're about to wake up with a freaking gun to your head. I promise you. And they're not going to say cease fire. They're going to shoot you because you didn't fight back, lazy ones.
Small groups were reported in the northern cities of Saltillo and Monterrey, in the region near Texas. About 1,003 where the first group had stayed so arrived at the stadium. Like referring to the first caravan, unclear whether the two caravans would merge or when they would stability in the Central American countries of Honduras, Guatemala, El Mexico has offered refuge, asylum or work visas, and its government said Monday that 2,697 temporary visas had been issued to individuals and families to cover them during the 45-day application process for more permanent status. Some 533 migrants had requested a voluntary return to their countries, the government reported. The U.S. government said it was starting work Tuesday to harden the border crossing from Tijuana ahead of the caravans. Customs and Border Protection announced it was closing 4 lanes at the busy San Isidro and Otay Mesa ports of entry in San Diego, California, so it could install infrastructure. That daily, 23 lanes remain open at San Isidro and 12 at Otay Mesa. San Isidro is the border's busiest crossing, with about 110,000 people entering the U.S. every day. That traffic includes some 40,000 vehicles, 34,000 pedestrians and 150 to 200 buses.
All right, guys. Now the situation that I'm finding out is just not what I expected this fast. You're welcome, Harlan. She finally found me on Facebook, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Why is the migrants doing this? Because the United States foreigners to give you martial law. Okay, folks. Just giving you heads up. Just like his book that he wanted climate chaos and he wanted chaos in America, and that's what's happening right now, folks. Okay. I didn't do too good on that dirt race, but that's okay because I'm not here to do good here. I'm just racing in here. That's all I can say. All right. Let's go to the New World Order behind those tracing this one. Yeah, we're gonna go to that one. Let's go to this one. Okay. All right, here we go.
The Hyundai Tucson is ranked.
And I'll be honest with you guys, if you haven't seen this shit coming months ago, then you're too damn worried about partying, having sex, doing drugs, and drinking. That means you don't want to be here no more. That means you. Trump sees it, so he's like, you know what, George? Yeah, why don't we do this? Since let's just wake their asses up, and that's what he's doing. He's about to blow you. Listen to everything that I have said, old man. Now your stupidity is about to get destroyed by Putin.
The top of its class for initial quality. Kind of like graduating with honors. Now.
And Stony Stone, I'm not taking my videos off until you take your videos off every day on Facebook on community service. Let's see, let's go.
This kind of ties in with what we're talking about. You saw the shooting. We've had the church shooting, and then we've had two massive hurricanes, which one came directly over my house. The Eye of Irma came right over my house. And people are saying, well, this is judgment from God, judgment from God. These things did not come from God. I cannot stress that enough.
Not come from God. It come from Rothschilds. It come from it comes from George Soros and his son. It come from EU. Told you to watch for is the European model. The European model was his headed left and right every day for me. That's why I knew the weather was going to be good. Everybody else was looking at the Canadian models and everybody was looking at the other models. I was hitting it 100% because I knew where the weather was coming from. The EU, the European model, folks. Remember that. Remember that. And as we're 5 days coming into Wormwood, you're going to see more snow. You're going to see more clouds. They're trying to cover up Wormwood, folks. They don't want you to see it. And that's why they're bringing in all these Honduras gang rapists. They're bringing in this person. They're bringing that person in to take your freedom. Even Mexicans. Yes, Mexicans are involved, folks. I'm just telling you guys. You should have listened to me. No, you're too damn worried about a football game, a NASCAR, a WWE, the Super Bowl. You're too damn worried about everything else. You're too damn worried about cheating on your woman or your man or whatever. You need to wake up. You need to wake up. Your freedom is over.
I have the answer for you. It's called the. And the Lord showed me. And I know this is going to be conspiracy theory, but it'll come out. The truth will come out one day to back this up. But the Lord showed me, Sheila, these seared by man, literally. Now, if you look at this, and the Lord said, "What two states electoral votes for Trump?" So the Lord was.
Look up, okay? You can go to Google if you want to, Burning Heart. You can look up Red Dawn 2012. If you look at them stars and you look at the tanks that was in the movie, I'm telling you guys, the star is North Korea. The y'all need to look for that.
Giving me signs to prove that these were, in fact, manipulated. Me like he does sometimes. He starts working me. Hey, I need you to pay attention here. So he starts poking me, and I said, "Okay, Lord." I said, "What is the deal with the hurricanes?" I said, "Why did they manipulate these things?" And basically, because they weaponized weather. We all know HARP exists. They have the technology to do all this. And he said it was because it was retaliation
real, and it's not, because it was man-manipulated and steered. Now, you go to the Vegas shooting. That guy attacked me saying that, see, we are under judgment, and it's not. It's the fact that all of this stuff is chaos order, their order, the New World Order. I mean, that's no great secret. So that's what they're trying to do. So what they've done, Sheila, is they are pulling out all of the weapons of their warfare because, like you said earlier, they are in full-blown panic mode right now. And this is a battle between light and dark. This is the largest spiritual battle since the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, period. This is why front lines, because we need every soldier we can get in the field right now. But you tie all these things together, and then let's go to the 5 presidents that what just happened with Hurricane Harvey. They disguise this whole fundraiser as a fundraiser, but it's actually a platform to attack our sitting president. Now, Bush 43 comes out, and for 8 years he had a chance to say something, and never once did he say anything about the most wicked president ever sit in the White House. For 8 years, he never said a word. Now, all of a sudden, we have a righteous president who's actually doing good and is stopping the New World Order timeline. Now, Bush 43 is crawling out of his hole, and he starts running his mouth. Now, these 5 presidents that came together and attacked presidents that are left right now, he said 2 will be taken and 3 will be shaken. God's about to remove 2 of these presidents, period. Now, I'm talking about assassination. God's just going to take them all, period. Add up how many years these presidents were in office, and because 2 of them were only one-term presidents. I said, okay, Lord, it was 30 minutes that these 5 presidents have had with Baal is about to be broken, and that's what this is going to be a huge sign for. So 2 will be taken, 3 will be shaken. In other words, I believe 2 out of those 3 will probably end up with prison time for treasonous acts, and the 3rd one will be shaken as well. And that's what you're about to see take place. But when you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, all this is, it's not judgment from God on America. This is a war. This is a spiritual battle between light and dark. And I don't and put the pieces of the puzzle together, period. So 2 will be taken. They will be removed. I know what people are going to do. They're going to hammer him with emails. What's this going to happen? What's the realm? But all I know is that 2 will be taken, and that will be a sign, and 3 will be shaken. And I believe the 3 that will be shaken are the ones that are going to have to sit before and give testimony, and I believe probably 2 out of those 3 may end up in prison.
Well, tie that in with your military tribunals, Mark, because we see what's going on,
Right.
Like with Robert Mueller right now, even being
Right.
involved in all this.
The morning after the election in an interview, and I said, the Lord has been dealing with me on military-style tribunals because this corruption, when they start digging into this stuff, Sheila, it's not right, because this is going to go worldwide, literally. It's going to take, I'm not going to say the military is going to be doing it, but it will be military-style tribunals that will take place in order to handle the caseload, and I think it'll be a different set. I know military-style tribunals or military tribunals operate differently than what regular courts do, but it will have to take that in order to handle all of this. Let's look at something here. They're already arresting how many pedophiles? I mean, we got, God bless these spec ops, these ex-spec ops guys that are out there pulling these kids out of these child sacrifices and pedophilia rings.
You're welcome. We're doing the best we can. We just need a bigger army to take these pedophiles down. But nobody's understanding. Nobody's listening to me. Be nice to y'all. Put you in one of them, boys. We're going to put you in.
So we got that going on. We've had probably more than that now. The last number I heard was like over 4,000 elite pedophiles have been arrested, and you got more worldwide. You got the corruption that is that's being exposed, and you got arrests that are the best job to have is probably if you're selling an underwear salesman, you're going to be making a lot of money in Washington here before long. So, you've got Saudi Arabia. I heard like a week ago, the Lord telling me, keep an eye on Saudi Arabia. Watch Saudi Arabia. Look what's happening in Saudi Arabia right now. I believe it does. I believe it has a lot to do with the fact that he's setting an example right now, and the entire world knows it. Look at the response he just had in China. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, he just came back with $250 billion worth of contracts for the United States. So, I mean, you see all this stuff. You see the corruption that's being exposed right now, and the Saudis they already killed 2 princes. I mean, for crying out loud, look at that. I mean, who would have thought the Saudis would have been cleaning house? And that was part of the New World Order, that they're cleaning house. Look at Putin. God's using Putin right now, believe it or not. Everybody thinks Putin
Western culture of pedophilia and Satanism. That itself is amazing.
How you like that?
It's amazing. So look
I told
what
you,
God is doing right
Putin
now.
was on
So
our
people
side.
need to stop
Nobody
operating
listen.
in fear right now and start
It's Putin
getting
that's
on
doing
the
it all.
train and start taking the fight to the enemy. We need every person we can get. Now
You
it's
can
not the
think
time to stop
Russia,
your warfare.
the real Christians.
The governor of Virginia that just won, most of the people who voted for Trump in Virginia, half of them didn't show up for the governorship thing to vote. And it's like, okay, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about that's got to stop. You know, we've got to get involved. We've got to, again, get off your behinds, get on the front lines, whether it's spiritually or do something in the natural, getting out to vote. You know, we need to be praying for the voter fraud, Sheila, that God's been showing me, because God's been showing me that the voter fraud in this country is what's showing the elections. Half the leadership right now in this country is not even supposed to be second term. He did not win that. The Lord already showed me that. He said it was stolen. He said, I allowed it because my people were not ready. They needed another 4 years of this stuff to build a righteous anger to say enough is enough. And that's when we saw the uprising as far as with Trump. But you have blue states out there that really aren't blue. You have blue zones that really aren't blue, but they're being manipulated by a corrupt electoral system. Now, let me give you an example of this. I've talked to Larry Nichols a couple of times on the phone, and his spiritual team, but now he's going after the Clintons and has been for years. They went after 4 states. They rigged.
Yeah.
And that's why they never targeted.
That's why Bernie didn't get the vote, folks.
Because they already
Bernie
got rigged.
Sanders
So
got
his
screwed
spiritual
over by
team
the
went after
Clintons.
those 4 states. They won those paper ballot, which is what we need to start doing, because Soros owns most of the computer software. It can be manipulated. So all of a sudden, Jill Stein calls for a recount. Nobody can figure out why these 4 states. Why would she call for a recount?
Russia's not even close to being communist. I hate to break the news to you. But if you want to stay on here, don't argue with us, because I'm not here to have naysayers on here no more. I'm gonna kick you off. I'm gonna kick you off. I'll tell you why, because you're gonna work with us. That's all I got to say. I could care less if you subscribe to me or not. Your ending of subscribing and liking and disliking and sharing is almost over. I promise you that. You can say goodbye to YouTube. It's about to go in the drink.
Count these 4 states, because those are the 4 states that Larry Nichols and his team won for Trump, because they couldn't figure out how they lost it, because they knew they had it sewed up for Hillary Clinton. So that shows you just how much corruption, even in our electoral process, that most of these guys, like McCain, aren't even supposed to be in there right now.
Yeah, where to even start with the voter fraud? Council to investigate Hillary Clinton? Where and scale. There's never been anything like it in the history of the United States.
I don't think it's been seen in the history of the world, to be honest with you, because, you know, we're in the information age now, because everything's instant, you know what I mean? But I think that, again, you know, this whole thing, when it blows up, you're going to see more treasonous acts and people charged with treason, I believe, ever in history. And, you know, Sheila, I'm going to say something very controversial, because I'm very controversial anyway. You know, it is what it is. But the point is that these people who are charged with treason need to be held accountable. It used to be that you were executed for a treasonous act.
That's right.
And if they started bringing that back, guess what? This stuff would stop.
If you saw some
I mean, you know, again, these people need to be held accountable. If you have committed.
and it would set an example, too, that we're not going to tolerate insidious kinds of evil either. Not only not put up with corruption, but we're not going to put up with the evil. This whole Hollywood grope fest extravaganza, it's nothing more than a distraction. The real story that's hiding behind this mammoth, oh, he groped me mantra, it's child sex trafficking.
Yes,
It's child sacrifice, satanic
Yes, it is.
rituals, and unthinkable horrors at the highest levels of the upper echelons. Noses, this is atrocious. It is time to put It's not about selling baby body parts to the highest bidder. I got a news flash for you folks. Planned Parenthood, it's not about your health.
No, it's not. And
No.
here's what I want to say about abortion. Look, if we have been lied to,
Michelle Obama tried to do that to your
you know,
kids.
if you're not a Christian, you're listening to this. All I can tell you is that the leaders of this country country.
Remember when she changed your food at the schools?
People to think
That's your
that it's about a woman's right to
parenthood.
choose abortion is, or that it's about women's health. I got news for you. You've been lied to. You've been duped. And the problem is that these leaders know it, and they won't tell you. They'll go to their dying breath before they will. Child sacrifice unto their God, Baal. It has nothing to do with your right to choose. The strong man over America right now.
Well, you want to talk about woe unto you? Well, shedding of innocent blood, that comes with one death curse, and when you're advancing the enemy's agenda from Hell's Kitchen, that comes with spiritual ramifications too, because think of the spiritual implications when you're involved in just absolute pure evil. I mean, look at Judas, better that he not even be born. Can you imagine the spiritual implications for all of this?
Absolutely. And you got to think of it as a spiritual type of betrayal, like you said with Judas. Betrayal, well, it goes against all the biblical principles. You know, Jesus talked about the kids. It'd be better if you had a millstone tied around your neck than to have one of these guys sin. So, I mean...
Yes. You remember the movie Lionsgate, Hostel? Guess who owns Lionsgate? I've already said this before on my other YouTube channel. I guess I'll have to do it to the new people since they don't know how to subscribe to the other channel. Because they're so slow. I'm going to say you're slow. And I told you to subscribe to the other channel because I got all my answers on the other channel. Why do I have to go to Tony Stone? And he's from Chicago. And this preacher is a pedophile from New Jersey. His name's Dave. But I'm going to be honest with you, okay? You need to go to Rest in Peace NWO, The Real News. Go all the way from last year. I'm talking about May of last year. You need to go through all my videos. It doesn't matter if there's gaming or not. I've been doing the news on gaming for a long time. I've got over 1,000 videos now, folks. 1,000 videos on all my channels. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm working hard as I can because we are about to lose the internet, folks. We're about to lose the internet. You're about to lose the internet. You think you're shadow banned now? Just wait till you lose the whole internet, because it's coming. UN wants to try to shut it down by December 11th. We'll see. Anybody want to answer any questions? Thanks, Irish. Just researching it out. You're welcome. Broken heart, that's if you was wondering which country symbol is on the war tanks. I said it. Russia, North Korea, China. Go look at the damn tanks on the movie. Red Dawn. You know what? Go to my Facebook. I'm putting the movie on Facebook again. I'll put the whole movie on Facebook again for you, okay, Broken Heart? You just follow me. I'm base. Every one of y'all. If you don't like me, oh well. Oh well. Nobody else has got the balls on YouTube to tell you what's going on and get in your fucking face and tell you what's up. I'm the only one. I haven't seen nobody out there do it yet.
You know, he talks about don't mess with the kids, period. But when you talk about child sacrifice, that's what abortion is. But they won't tell you that. They disguise it as a woman's right to choose or a woman's health.
Oh yeah, by the way, the owner of Hostel in Lionsgate is the Clintons. You're welcome. They really sell people and sell them off to the biggest dealer.
But these rancid devils, well, they're furthering the agenda of hell.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. They're advancing the kingdom of darkness is what they're doing. So basically, it is a spiritual type of betrayal. It's a spiritual treason type thing. Treason in the natural is punishable by death. Well, I don't think it's any different because I wrote a prophetic word about spiritual treason. And so when you talk about the spiritual implications, you're either for God or you're against Him. You can't be lukewarm, period. So when you look at these, I want to use these 5 presidents because you've got some presidents up there that call themselves Christians. All I can say is woe unto these guys. Some of these 5 guys didn't know this pedophilia was going on because they did. These guys were in a position to stop it, to do something about it, and they didn't. And that makes you just as guilty as the person committing the crime, as far as I'm concerned. So, that's why President Trump is putting a stop to the mess. He's a different individual totally. So, again, woe unto these guys. These guys have a lot of things to do, especially these leadership. And if these guys...
Holly, they're bringing in martial law faster than expected. Over 80 million people is about to be martial law up north. 80 million. From the north is going first.
Have been touching these kids like this for decades, or these guys in Congress have been doing this. And by the way, I believe the ones that are squawking the most about this whole stuff and giving Trump the hardest time, I believe are the most guilty of some of this stuff, which I think we'll find out. But the point is that it is a spiritual type of treason. And all I can say is woe unto them.
That's interesting because all these spiritual treasonists, they're all against Trump. All of Hollywood, him at every single award show, even the country. The minion and his gun grabbing. Wow, he's a big Obama supporter. So big surprise there. But, the Trump-Pence regime has to go. We saw that has more respect for the U.S. anthem than American football players. The NFL's imploding. Just this past Veterans Day, we look at some of the stadium seating. The more they attack Trump, the more they do to undermine him, the more it backfires on him. And I think they're just all scrambling.
Yeah, they're pulling out every weapon of their warfare that they have, including 5 ex-presidents. I mean, when have you ever seen that, Sheila? For 5 ex-presidents come out against a sitting president like that. I don't think that's ever been done. And I think that was because I was hearing that these 2 will be taken and 3 will be shaken before that happened. I don't know when, but when it does happen, and the other interview that I did, he had a picture of Lady Gaga, and notice the 2 presidents she was standing behind and had her hands on them. It was Bush 41 and 43. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is that prophetic for? The Illuminati's behind them. Now, I will say this about Lady Gaga. God is using her. Now, I pray that she gets saved. I pray she gets saved. Exposes how the Illuminati recruited her. Doing actually from what I read in this article, she's actually looking for deliverance, which is a good sign to me. I pray she comes to know the Lord. I pray she gets deliverance and saved, because think of it could have if she invited Christ into her heart. God, again, we talk about God can use anybody, because I got kind of hammered for some people. Lady Gaga, you're saying God's using her? No, He's not. She's evil. Folks, you're not seeing the big picture how God's doing it. You know what I mean? You got to understand God can use anybody He wants.
God doesn't answer to anyone. His timing is not our timing. He says that in the Word.
Right.
God's plans are not our plans. His ways are not our ways. What part of that do people not get?
I don't know. I was just talking about this with somebody else yesterday, and it's like, people are wanting to see one that wants to see their country burn, because God said, I wish that none would perish. And so He doesn't want anyone to perish. And it's like, yes, there's judgment coming down right now. She was to wipe Sodom and Gomorrah off the map. 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I mean, if He was going to truly judge America, Hillary Clinton would have been the president right now. So He's given America a reprieve. He's given America a second chance, because we have a remnant called the Army of God who have come forth, who are continually praying, who are continually repenting on behalf of the people and the land. And I believe that's what you're going to see continue to take place, because this thing with the repentance thing is getting bigger and bigger. And by the way, if you don't mind me saying this on your show, if anybody wants to join in on a prayer call, national prayer call, I have a couple of prayer calls that I'm personally involved in, and these guys are doing the repenting. It is imperative, because God told me, He says there's 3 things to change it. It's called the strikeforceofprayer.com, and the other one on behalf of the people and the land.
Yes. Well, and it's just really important to know we're not even fighting the.
All right, that was it on that one. I don't know why they cut it off so fast. Some of it is real and some of it's fake. I just want y'all to know that. Let me look at the tablet and see what it's doing. On my birthday, I worked a lot of hours for y'all, and I seen this coming. Y'all must have didn't when I told you it was. Let's see here. All right, 16 dislikes. Bye. I don't care. That means you don't give a flying fuck about this country. And you'll die. You'll die. Russia's gonna kick your ass. So dislike me all you want. Because after I leave my life, usually this what happens, okay? Do you know why? Because I'm real and you're fake. So you decide what you want to do. Alright? Alright. Next story. Mitch McConnell, breaking news. And Mueller, protection.
Greetings, citizens of the world. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced Wednesday that he will block a bill aimed at protecting Special Counsel Robert Mueller. After 2 years of investigations, the Russia probe has yet to uncover a single shred of evidence linking Donald Trump to Russia. Yet despite this, and disenfranchise his supporters. The Washington Times reported, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell flatly rejected the need to approve legislation protecting the special counsel's probe into the 2016 election, saying Wednesday there's no evidence the investigation needs protection. Mr. McConnell laid out Republicans' goals for the lame duck session of Congress, saying preventing a government shutdown is tops on the list, along with passing new rules to stop sexual harassment on Capitol Hill and approving a farm bill. He flatly ruled out the chance of a partial government shutdown over border wall money and other spending. Democrats and some Republicans want to protect Special Counsel Robert Mueller. I don't think any legislation's necessary, Mr. McConnell said.
Troller, I hate trollers. I've been shutting trollers down for the last 8 years. Maybe you need to get your story straight. And quit subscribing so many times and then unsubscribing, because that's getting stupid. Trolling, but he's telling the truth about what's happening. Friends, and I got news for you, man. I told you Texas was going to be underground, going to be under siege. West and the east, the north and the west and the east is about to get hit hard. California, you got rain coming, and I mean sheets of it. The whole United States is. Could be some snow in this, because as we're getting closer with clouds and rain and snow and sleet. Get ready. You haven't seen nothing yet. In fact, wind in your fucking face saying whatever the fuck they say, because they're not going to ask. See, the thing is, you should have fought with us. Now, you're going to die by the UN and other people. Honduras rapists, Venezuela involved. Do you realize how many people? Well, I'll tell you this. I'll be underground eating Zaxby's while you're screwing off.
citizens of the world. Federal prosecutors in Florida have discovered a batch of tampered vote by mail ballots by the Democrat Party in 4 counties.
Bye, George Soros. You're welcome. He owns all the machines, dumbass.
Having to hand them into election officials. However, prosecutors have discovered these altered. The Florida Department of State last week asked federal prosecutors to investigate dates that were changed on official state election documents, the first voting irregularities it has flagged in the wake of the 2018 elections. The concerns, which the department says can be tied to the Florida Democratic Party, center around date changes on forms used to fix vote-by-mail ballots sent with incorrect or missing information the day before the election. But affidavits released on Tuesday by the DOS show that documents from 4 different counties said the ballots could be returned by 5 p.m. onward, which emerged as the epicenter of controversy as 3 statewide races and 3 local legislative races went into recounts following the November 6th elections. Republicans have pointed to embattled Broward elections chief Brenda Snipes' record of past election gaffes and arguing that the largely Democratic country is tilted against them, perhaps fraudulently so. The dates on the cure affidavits were also altered in Okaloosa County, and the elections supervisor said the email he received included a person from the Florida Democrat Party. Another email included in the DOS document dump included correspondence from Okaloosa County Supervisor of Elections for the Democratic Party. Please pass the word to the FTP that they can't arbitrarily add their own deadline to your form or VBM cures. Lux emailed DOS officials on November 9th. This is wrong date that include.org, which is associated with the party month. Democrats verse Brown, however many they needed to bring the Democrats within the margin of a recount. It is a violation of state law to count ballots with irregularities such as mismatched signatures. However, Senator Marco Rubio, RFL, reported Tuesday evening that Democrats are actually arguing to change Florida laws to steal the elections. Florida law requires that the voter signatures on Mount and force Florida to count ballots with signatures that officials was driving around with blank provisional ballots in a rental car.
And why is Elliot Sadler retiring? Because he knows Wormwood's coming. And if you don't know what Wormwood is, then you don't believe in God. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. You don't even know what's coming, do you, boys? Huh, atheist? You will. Very soon. Winter is coming. Trump knows what the American people failed. Trump knows you have failed. Trump knows you haven't managed your money. And Trump knows that you wanted to do nothing but drugs, alcohol, and sex. And now Trump is going to bring you down. And yeah. You can smoke your Ted all you want, because Ted is going to kill you. Poison. Reverse psychology. Mark my words.
To fully understand the genesis of our present-day crisis, one must remember that it was only this past March of 2018 when American shale oil producers became profitable. That in turn caused them to boost production, with the U.S. becoming the top producer of oil in the world by September of 2018. Stable oil prices for both 2019 and 2020. Unlike Russia, that bases its budget on oil being $40 a barrel, that only 1/3 of their economic population depends on. However, the American shale oil industry needs oil to be at $100 a barrel for them to remain profitable. And as U.S. oil production is set to soar past 12 million barrels a day, The Americans have failed completely to note that they are unable to balance. President Trump tried to on their competitor oil producing nations like Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, with Saudi Arabia now being global supply that now outstrips demand. Made even worse just hours ago when the African oil giant nation of Nigeria announced that it is going to increase its oil production to 1.8 million barrels a day in 2019. Of course, we Americans were gleefully proclaiming just months ago that sanctions against their oil producer competitors would drive the price of oil to $100 a barrel. Today, thousands of these once giddy oil producers are now facing bankruptcy. And this is due to oil prices now facing their longest losing streak on record. And they have
every second in the U.S. You might have been on the receiving end.
And I said this on my Facebook. We're running out of oil, folks. You're about to move to electric cars, or you're going to be fined a bunch of money. Yes, oil is going up to $20 a gallon very soon, guys. Actually, it's going to go up right after the big earthquake. Oh, you think it's just going to hurt California? Oh, it's going to hurt your
a bear market territory as oil prices have plunged more than $20 a barrel since the start of October 2018. With the Southeast Asian nation of Malaysia being the proverbial canary in the coal mine as oil prices continue their historic plunge, it's stark warning that when oil falls below $70 a barrel, it will be quickly followed by a global economic crisis that has been met by the industry completely, and whose consequences of, in turn, exploded the market moved by this large hedge fund has been characterized by their calling up their broker at 1-800-GET-ME-OUT. These economic experts now warning that this oil price crash is leading to a worldwide debt default, with others likewise warning it's late 2007 for stocks. We all remember what comes next. Of course, no evidence exists that the American people, much less its government, are heeding the Bank of International Settlements, or the Bank of Banks, if you will, warning of the banking crisis to come because of the mess the Western world is in. If we look back in June of 2007, a report titled U.S. Banking Collapse Imminent and warns French banking giant that warned you about the great financial crisis to come because banking giant on with it. But the vast majority of American people chose to believe this.
Just say, hey, great job? I am. Okay, Peter writes, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. If there's one takeaway other than a plus 400 something, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. I mean, if anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. That's just being silly. Don't be silly. Bear money's back after the break.
Stop Trading. Jim Cramer is here. Jim, lots to talk about today. Bear Stearns first, and I know you and I were just talking in the commercial about this letter that you got. It said, Dear Jim, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? That was from Peter. That was a question to you about a week ago. You replied, no, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. If anything, they're more likely to be taken over. You were right about that. Don't move your money from Bear. Maybe you weren't right about that.
No,
what do you have to say?
Look, let's understand two things. I said the common stock was worthless on Friday as soon as the thing was at 36, because we then saw look at the bonds. Got the liquidity. I mean, look, keeping money at Bear was I'm trying to I guess I could have closed a run on the bank and say, take your money out of Bear. I guess people could say, hold it. He's not saying, take your money out of Bear. Keep your money in Bear. He's saying, buy the common stock. I mean, what the heck? You want me to say that? I mean, I cannot cause a run. It turned out that the Federal Reserve guaranteed the money. I'm not going to tell people to pull money out of these places. The Federal Reserve's guaranteeing the money. They're just not guaranteeing the equity. I got a lot of things wrong in my life, but I do not regret the fact that I said don't take your money out of Bear. Because if you had your money in Bear, you still got it today. I mean,
Oh, I see. So you're saying if you're if you're someone who had money that Bear was managing, or you're a hedge fund. Okay.
That's what that question
So,
was. I came out and said at 36 the stock was worthless, for heaven's sake. No one was
so
saying
you
that.
didn't. Right. So your answer to this is, hey, Aaron, I want to make sure everyone understands. I wasn't saying keep money in Bear common stock.
Do you know what would
You
happen
as a
if I
client
came
of
out and
Bear.
said, do you know what would happen on this show if I came out and said I want everyone to take their money out of X bank? Jim Cramer causes a run on X bank. I mean, that would be stupid, reckless, and wrong because the Fed is guaranteeing it. I mean, we want to play that game. I can give you 5 banks.
On this stock and Bear and all this other stuff, you're a fucktard just like all the other dumbasses that hasn't woke up yet. I'm telling you guys, I'm worse than Glenn Beck and Alex Jones. I'm going to tell you straight up. You're a stupid fucktard for putting the money in the bank in the first place. Because you know your digital can be hacked and kicked off. Remember that. My money hasn't been in the bank in 10 years. It's actually been in a safe.
All right. So that
And
did
now
you
there's
just
enough
explain what
problems
you
with Jim
meant?
Cramer causing a run on X bank. I'm not going to cause a run on a bank.
I just wanted to give you a chance to respond to this because some people might have interpreted
I'm
your
glad I
answer
didn't
as
cause a run on
Bear
Bear.
common.
I didn't cause
Okay.
a run on Bear. The Bear common stock I didn't like, but keeping your money at Bear what turned out to be 100% right. Everybody.
Back now with a new app that could help stop those annoying robocalls, telemarketers, even phone scammers.
Hedge fund guys, prime brokerage clients.
Every billionaire got bailed out by the Fed. I mean, sorry, I had a prediction
Well,
that the
Joe
billionaires
Lewis
would get
doesn't
bailed
seem so
out.
happy.
He owns the common. I think the common of most
Maybe
of
it
large banks
balances
is
out for
worthless.
Joe Lewis. I don't know.
I think I have I have a lot of my money in a bank that I think is worthless, but I think there's absolutely no doubt that the bank itself
I
will
know
make good on
what
mine.
bank it is. I know what bank it is.
sorry.
All right. I'm not going to say anything about that bank. Let's talk, please.
I don't want to share any bank that I have my money, but I know the FDIC will back it up.
All
I
that
know.
remains now before the
I know where your money is in the bank. Where Trump's bank. Bank of America in Carolina. Where the Bush is on top. News media.
economies of both the United States and the European Union implode is what the Americans are going to do to force the price of oil back up, but whose only option to do so is by their destroying, by military might, their oil-producing competitors, as all trade wars throughout history have ended. This, from a just-released study presented to the U.S. Congress, shows it may not be the sanest option as the United States has lost its military edge to a dangerous degree and could potentially lose a war against China or Russia. Findings not how easy it was to jam NATO and U.S. GPS transmission. Weapons Russia has deployed all along its border with the European Union, and whose best defense, as it was during the last global financial crisis, is Russia's massive gold reserves that have likewise saved countless Americans from financial ruin in 2007 and 2008, but only for those who listened to true things and know today that indeed winter is coming.
Winter's here. That's what winter meant. let's go to the next story because we're really, really running out of time. All right. More news from Anonymous. Breaking news.
His friend of Roseanne Connor in the reboot Roseanne sitcom is feeling a loss and misses his friend Roseanne Barr. Former Obama official Valerie Jarrett Goodman, who is now starring in the new ABC sitcom called The Connors, that does not Roseanne Barr. That hollow feeling also translates to ratings. The Connors fell flat with the audience and was down 35% in the ratings. In an interview with USA Today this week, John Goodman said he misses his friend Rosie real bad despite being happy to return in The Connors. It felt great to be back, but there's a hollow center. I miss Rosie real bad, said Goodman. To a racially charged tweet targeting former Obama aide Valerie Jarrett, whom she described as a to parents of African American and European descent, was black. While the tweet was racially charged, Goodman recently said he knows that Roseanne is not a racist person. I know for a fact that she's not a racist, he said, going on to imply that ABC should not have canceled her show so suddenly. I'll put it this way, I was surprised at the response. And that's probably all I should say about it. ABC decided to kill off Roseanne's character on the show via an opiate overdose, a decision that the actress expressed much dissatisfaction about in a statement on Twitter Tuesday night. That it was done through an otherwise happy family show, she wrote. Keeping it cheeky, wrote the MRC, The Connors premiered to lackluster ratings when compared to the blowout the Roseanne premiere received, which drew 18.44 million viewers and had a 5.1 rating among adults 18-49. The Connors drew just 10.5 million viewers and had a 2.3 rating, managing about 55% of its precursor's premiere.
Wow. Okay. So a legislator movie coming out next year. It's weird that he said that. Really is. But I will say this. You say anything bad about Obama or any of the New World Order, you get doubt. All right, let's go. Let's keep on going as U.S. pushes China. As U.S. pushes China to brink of American, people fail to notice that winter is coming. I'll say that again. Y'all haven't seen winter yet. It's going to be worse than 1993.
Greetings, citizens of the world. A cautiously worded new Security Council, SC, report circulating in the Kremlin today noting officials keeping close watch on the volatile situation playing itself out in the global oil markets states that this crisis was begun during the past fortnight after President Donald Trump used a reference from the popular American fantasy drama television series Game of Thrones to announce the crippling of Iran's oil export industry by his declaring sanctions are coming that in whose wake saw China cutting off all of its supplies of U.S. oil at the same time its oil imports have surged. Vice President Mike Pence just threatened China with all-out Cold War unless the Chinese immediately undertake dramatic change in all of its policies to accommodate U.S. demands. But whose first main casualty of this conflict are the nearly 15 million American peoples living in the New England region who pay the highest price in the world to heat their homes with natural gas as they refuse to allow new pipelines to be built, with their only able to be saved from freezing last winter after President Putin allowed Russian liquefied natural gas to be shipped to them, that this year cannot happen because of Trump's new sanctions against Russia, thus meaning that, indeed, winter is the price of natural gas into the stratosphere with its doubling its price over the past few days alone. According to this report, to fully understand the genesis of this present crisis, one must remember that it was only this past March 2018 when American shale oil producers became profitable, that in turn caused them to boost production, with the U.S. becoming the top oil producer in the world by September 2018, all of whom were buoyed by their belief that they had locked in stable oil prices for both 2019 and 2020. Unlike Russia, that bases its budget on oil being $40 a barrel, that only $1 a barrel for them to remain profit. Today, the Americans failed completely to note that they are unable to balance the global U.S. oil industry by displacing made-up sanctions on their competitor oil-producing nations Russia, Iran and Venezuela, with Saudi Arabia now being placed in the sanctions crosshairs, too. This report notes, oil production has only increased, leading to a global supply that now outstrips demand, made even worse just hours ago when the African oil giant nation of Nigeria announced that it is going to increase its oil production to 1.8 million barrels a day in 2019. Hence, the oil producer competitors would drive the price of oil to $100 a barrel. This report says, today thousands of these once giddy oil producers are now facing bankruptcy, and is due to oil prices now facing their longest losing streak on record, and that have now officially entered into bear market territory as oil prices have plunged more than $20 a barrel since the start of October. With the Southeast Asian nation of Malaysia being the proverbial canary in the coal mine as oil prices continue their historic plunge. This report continues, its stark warning that when oil falls below $70 a barrel, it will be quickly followed by an American energy behemoth who has exited the oil futures industry completely, and whose price, and whose stunning move by this large hedge fund has been characterized by their calling up their broker at 1-800-GET-ME-OUT. With economic experts now warning that this oil price crash is leading to a worldwide debt default, with others, likewise, warning it's late 2007 for stocks. We all remember what comes next. This report further notes, no evidence exists that the American people, much less the Bank of Banks, warning of the banking crisis to come because of the mess the Western world is in. Our June 28, 2007 report titled U.S. Banking Collapse Imminent warns French banking giant warned you about the great financial crisis to come because banking giant Bear Stearns was about to collapse and take the rest of the world down with it, but the vast majority of the American people chose to believe this. All that remains now before the economies of both the United States and European Union implode, this report concludes, is what the Americans are going to do to force the price of oil back up, but whose only option as all trade wars throughout history have ended, that a just released study presented to the U.S. Congress shows may not be the sanest option, as the United States has lost its military edge to a dangerous degree and could potentially lose a war against China or Russia. Findings not surprising to Russian military leaders who were stunned to learn how easy it was to jam NATO and U.S. GPS transmission during their just-ended war exercise, and who, if attacked, would find these Westerners facing virtual wall of nuclear weapons Russia has deployed all along its border with the European Union, and whose best defense, as it was during the last, had, likewise, saved countless Americans from financial ruin in 2007. Indeed,
it's gonna go up. I even put it on a YouTube video of 2022 was going to be bad. You might want to go to NWO. Well, it has Hillary Clinton on there, and it shows Hillary Clinton as the president. No, I didn't say that. Yes, I did. All right, let's keep on going. I'm not done. Shoot. Re-rolling. We're back on the same page. I think we should be on the same page. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. All I can say is my phone has been going crazy lately. I don't know. I tried to call you, boss, Lindsay, but we're having problems. Breaking news on Russia. This is what I was trying to tell you. Here we go. No, you know what? Let's go to Mary Greeley. Breaking news on Yellowstone. We can go to that later. Menu. I'll show you something different on that. Okay. Breaking news on Yellowstone. Stone.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary with Mary Greeley News. And look how dark the steam is. Happy Veterans Day to everyone. USGS must be on vacation because nothing's been reported since the 11th. Yeah, look how dark that's getting. The current temperature there at Yellowstone, a quick little note, is -6 degrees.
Wow. That's cold.
Earthquakes that are reported, we got a 0.9, Virginia City, Montana. That was yesterday. A 0.5. Northeast of Old Faithful, right there, a 0.5. A 1.0, 24 kilometers northeast of Yellowstone. That was on the night yesterday. Here's the most recent earthquake just after 1300, all three monitors. Here we have the canyon. Pulling it back another 2 hours, and I'll pull this up over here. Got an earthquake right here at 34 probably. Another one right here at about 48 maybe. Another one right there. You can see it 2 miles. Just after 10:25 Universal Time. This is Maple Creek. This other one here, let me pull it down. The canyon, not being reported. Pulling it back another 2 hours, you can see how strong this earthquake was. And I'll go back another 2 hours. There's another one over here at about 6:14. Another one, maybe 6:02, 6:03. That's on 3 different monitors. There you go. Prior to that, it was relatively quiet. Lots of stuff going on at Maple Creek. Then yesterday at 21, maybe 34, you can see this. A small one right there. Not being reported. Another one at 20, just after 2025, not being reported. A lot of. And I'll go back another 2 hours. 14 maybe right there. 2 monitors. Now that could be El Salvador. They had a 4.5 at 1412. A depth of 35 kilometers. It was off the coast. Because the signature is so small at the borehole, who knows what they got it set at. That is probably the earthquake in El Salvador yesterday. So here we have the spectrogram for Yellowstone. Down here, can't really see the second one, but down here you can. And then we got the earthquakes that brought up the different gases. Because the cap of Yellowstone is made of rhyolite, when Yellowstone shakes from the earthquakes, it's like a soda can. You shake it up and the pressure builds. Once in a while, the gases do come up through the earth. An example, when the buffalo died, dropped dead in their tracks. That was reported a few years ago. But because the gases can't escape, it just builds up pressure and the ground pushes up. The scientists feel that if there is a magnitude an eruption there at the park. Sometimes, cracks form to relieve the pressure, and then the ground goes back down. Sometimes. Steve.
Wow. That got loose. That got tight. Real tight.
Steamboat geyser may go off in the next 2 days, maybe a little bit sooner. We'll see. Here we have the tilt meter for Yellowstone Lake. Top measure 7 days. Be interesting to see what it shows for tomorrow because of these recent earthquakes. Here we have the tilt for Yellowstone Lake. Top is north, bottom is east for the last 30 days. And then we'll come down here. Now this is set at 10 microradians. To actually know what kind of uplift is going on for microradians, we need to know the
I will tell you this. If Wormwood gets a little bit more closer, everything's going to come off. Every earthquake, every volcano, every storm, because they don't want you to see it. They would hack the weather system. The reason Obama did not give you martial law when he was in office is because Wormwood turned left and left the vicinity of where you could see it. Now it's coming in plain view, and that's why they're worried. They're not October the 25th, and it's on my YouTube channel.
To find them. Yellowstone Lake. I still feel that the magma, which is lava when it's still under the ground, has got a little bit of magma. Feel that the entire park needs to have a 50% melt for an eruption. I don't agree. If that has 50% melt, I think that's where it would probably start. It's a small eruption where just a small amount of magma comes out, or it could end up being a large eruption. Time will tell. The smaller eruptions, now they are overdue for a smaller eruption. They often talk about the large eruptions, not the smaller eruptions, but the last time there was a full-scale eruption at Yellowstone, that was called the Lava Creek eruption. That happened approximately 640,000 years ago. So how often does Yellowstone erupt? You may find they're buried or destroyed. We do not really know how often the volcano has actually erupted. The most recent we talk about the large eruptions. 3 extremely large eruptions have occurred at Yellowstone in the past 2.1 million years, with a recurrence of about 600 to 800,000 years ago. More frequent eruptions of basalt and rhyolite lava flows have occurred before and after the large caldera forming event. For example, scientists have identified at least 27 different rhyolite flows that erupted after the most recent caldera eruption. 27. About 640,000 years ago from vents inside the caldera. And the most recent was 70,000 years about 2,000 years ago. Native Americans talk about that. There's legends about that. So we could have another smaller eruption. How often do they happen? Well, it's difficult to find that information, but it is overdue. It's even overdue for a major eruption. So here we have the tilt meter for Grant. Like I said, I believe it's looking for a way to escape from the ground there, the magma. Top is north, bottom is east. You see here, between the 8th and the 9th, the ground took a breath. This is for the last days. And this is set at 5 microradians. Here we have the spectrogram for the Madison River area. Again, there's the magma, an earthquake. The other one doesn't really show up here. The tilt meter for the Madison River area. Top is north, 1 microradian east, and this is set at 2. We see dots farther out. Now I'm going to show you 2 different charts for the Norris Junction area. This would measure ancient helium and methane. This would be sulfur dioxide. This would be water stripped of oxygen. And then I enhanced it because you can see here you can't really see what's going on. They really water down the colors. That's what it looks like enhanced. And then down here, yeah, it really brightens up the different colors for the gases. This is the Madison River area. This is where I am. That area finds a weakness or it suddenly decides to come through. The tilt meter for Norris Junction, the reason I say the Norris Junction, Madison River area is because that's the area where most of the earthquakes have been occurring. Top is north, bottom is east, last 7 days. This is set at only 1 microradian. Now the uplift has been mostly centered. It's been rising out instead of spreading out. And then the last 30 days, and I talked about how they got these charts set, so we really can't see what's going on. And this is set at 2 microradians. See how far out the dots are?
Without this program, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today.
So we'll keep an eye on Steamboat. Ear Spring's been having eruptions of about 2 feet high. That's been continued, and the boardwalk is still closed, but the park's closed anyways. We got a little snowman here that some child built a few days ago. So any thoughts or comments or questions, put it down below. Please subscribe, please thumbs up my videos, and please stay safe. And I will talk to you later. God bless you all. Bye.
Mary Greeley is one of the best scientists on the volcanoes that's happening right now. We are really concerned about Yellowstone. y'all concerned about a artificial volcano in California. Just thought you might want to know that. That's not a real volcano that y'all are looking at that hasn't even gone off yet. Y'all thought it was, but it wasn't. It was fire. Now we do have meteors and drones coming in California now, both doing the damage of California. So I thought, wow. Okay. Am I ever going to get to this news story? Yeah, probably. Right now. Alright, guys. Breaking news. Putin speaks. Alright, guys. Get ready. Yeah. Just get ready. We got a transition on this one, okay? You will hear it in English.
When people on this level meet, it's okay, it's normal. What meetings were the most important? Cooperation with the Asia-Pacific countries. Any politically motivated restrictions that trespass into the economic area of course, are an obstacle for ourselves and for our partners, and for those who impose the sanctions themselves. But nothing like that can stop our development, our progress, our economic and technological progress. That is why we're going to we will continue cooperation. About 25% of our trade turnover is accounted by Asian states. Last year, the growth was 27%. Over $200 billion. Trade is on the rise. Smart cities, the idea created by Singapore, and this has to do with high technologies. We have signed an agreement on free trade with Vietnam, with India. на наши переговоры традиционные отношения со многими странами этого региона.
Historically, we've had good relations with countries of the region, and nothing can stop us in this respect. And I have no doubts that the prospects are very good. What kinds of meetings were the most important? Well, there were lots of meetings. I met almost all of my counterparts with, for example, I met with of the State Council of China. Today I met Prime Minister of Singapore and Prime Minister of Korea. I just had a small conversation with the President of the US as well. I think I have talked to almost all of the participants of the summit. Igor Zhdanov, Rush Today. Mr. President, you have made a long way to come here to Singapore. You met, as you say, almost everyone, all kinds of countries with very varying geopolitical interests. How would you yourself characterize today? What characterizes this region of the world is, well, I was here as a guest, and even at that time there was a certain order being formed here in terms of relations between the countries, and it had nothing to do with the processes of globalization, and it had nothing to do with military blocs. At this forum, we see the promotion of the idea of unity and interconnectivity, not as part of military unions. There were no signs of globalism here. This is not something we look towards. Our relations here are based on a more, and each country chooses its own way of further development. And we now see that this way, this path is very viable. Meetings in such a format are very beneficial to all of us. Good afternoon, Pavel Zarubin, Russia Channel. Yesterday you met Prime Minister of Japan, and Japanese media wrote about the desire. There were some talks about this declaration. Can you tell us about that? Well, we continued our dialogue with our Japanese counterparts on the basis of the declaration signed in 1956. This was something our Japanese counterparts asked. I have said that on numerous occasions, and I'm going to say that again. After the end of World War II, there was a number of agreements signed on the territory, on government, on state borders. All these agreements are everything that we see is based on international documents signed during the efforts after World War II. But as you know, Japan poses this issue in a different manner. In 1956, Japan and the USSR signed a declaration, which was called 1956 Declaration, just like that. What does it talk about? It says that it doesn't say whose sovereignty is going to be on these islands, what kind of basis would be for this transfer of these islands. But the declaration stated this readiness of the USSR to transfer the islands to Japan. Later, both the Council of the USSR and the Japan agreed that this was the way forward, but then all changed. During Gorbachev's times, the USSR asked us to go back to discussing this issue as part of this declaration, but during our discussions,
You know, moved away from the 1956 declaration, and today during our meeting with Mr. Abe, he said that Japan would be ready to go back to discussing this issue.
Remember, guys, I'm taking out Kyle Busch because he's in the chase with Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr. for that. But I'm making Kyle Busch choke on his image.
But this would require additional work, because as you know, in the declaration itself of the problem and the basics of the USSR's readiness to transfer the islands, but there are no details about the sovereignty, about the basis for this transferring of the islands, and so on and so forth. It requires additional deliberation and work. Please go on. Andrei Blashkevich, TASS News Agency. My question is about the Davos. The idea that Russia could withdraw its participation in the forum unless Russian businessmen are allowed to participate. And if Russia is not present, will it somehow affect Russia's authority in the world economy? No, it will not in any way affect our standing in the global economy, because the standing primarily depends on the economic power of the country itself, on the structure demonstrated by a low level, a lack of a budget deficit, and of course budget deficit at all, to have a budget surplus, and we are quite confident in that respect. But platforms like Davos are very important, and when I was governor of came there more rarely. I haven't been there for quite some time, but this is a very important and beneficial platform, and the goal of platforms like that is to have discussions, open and free discussion, and it unites people, regardless of any political restrictions that exist between them. If somebody imposes restrictions within such a platform, they are actually undermining the very idea of the platform. As for our participation in Davos, our company has a right to be, whether they want to come there or not. Thank you.
Егор Садзаев, говорю, газета «Известия».
Известия.
Состоялись выборы в самопровозглашенных республиках Донбасса.
There were elections held in Donbass republics, and Kiev authorities said that these went against the Minsk agreements. There haven't been contacts between you and the Ukrainians. Is Russia waiting for a change of powers in Ukraine? There are going to be elections there soon. Well, as for the condemnation of these elections in Donbass republics, first of all, let's say that let's acknowledge that nobody is condemning the killings, the murders that are going on there, politically motivated murders. And what were the people organizing, the people behind this crime thinking? Of course, elections were inevitable. Secondly, meeting just prior to the Ukrainian elections makes really no sense. And as we have seen, the current in implementing the Minsk agreement, for example, the special status of Donbass, this decision was not agreed on by the Kiev parliament. This was a key decision, but they don't want to follow through with it. I think that they are still awaiting for us to do something about the Minsk agreement, but we are actually implementing the Minsk agreement. Finally, is Russia able to do anything to achieve a peaceful resolution there? I don't think that we can. Until something changes in Kiev, we are unable to do anything in these territories. Still, we believe there's no other way forward.
Okay, what he just said, to do the right thing or World War III will start. Third, if he does not arrest everybody that he says he was going to arrest in his GOP political bullcrap, it will be the end of Trump and all of your pedophile government. I'm just giving you heads up. And they're on the border. Russia is on the border with all of the freaking migrants. I think that's how they come in. They use Mexico's air base.
To agree on that somehow. Whoever comes to power in Ukraine, we will respect the choice of the Ukrainian nation. We will work in Kiev, but we still believe that there is no other way forward other than a peaceful way. Right now, in Moscow, in the president's administration, there are actually picketing about the exchange of well, they wanted to exchange all the prisoners on one side and all the prisoners from other side, but unfortunately the Ukrainian authorities are saying that some of the people still held in Ukrainian prisons without any trial, they are announced as criminals. They are prosecuted and they are basically driven outside this framework of prisoner of war exchange. The representatives of Donbass do not agree with that. Change their status, and so they are no longer prisoners of war, so to speak, and they are no longer exchangeable. So, we see that Kiev has no desire to and the fact that Ukraine is arresting people in the Azov Sea, for example. They just arrested the seamen there. These sailors can fish wherever they want, but they arrested them. This was against the law. They arrested them and kept them for a whole year. This is completely illegal and lawful. And when our border patrol arrested no desire from the Ukrainian authorities to even talk about that. Now you can see how they treat their own citizens. Dmitry Smirnov, Komsomolskaya Pravda. There is a lot of talk about digitization and high-tech, but we can see that Moscow is even more high-tech in several respects than Singapore. Were you impressed by something in Singapore in terms of high-tech? Well, I wouldn't say that we are the best in this respect. Singapore is a great example of a high-tech, smart city. A lot of issues in Russia. Moscow is one of the leading capitals in the world. Interfax. Mr. President, you said you had a small conversation about the possible meeting with Mr. Trump. Another question is about the second wave of sanctions with regard to the Skripal case. Could they somehow affect the preparations for your upcoming summit with Mr. Trump in Buenos Aires? Well, any hostile steps affect in some way the future of our meetings, but we were ready to meet in Paris, but with a sketch, and this was a really important, huge meeting attended by over 100 leaders of state. It was very difficult to organize full-scale work there. That is why we agreed to meet in Buenos Aires, and Vice President Pence said that US is also preparing for this meeting. During the working lunch in Paris, we discussed only the very general issues, but very intensive. We were able to participate in this discussion together with the economy, about regional problems. We choose happening with the INF Treaty. What's going to forward with this in these areas? We also had other issues to discuss related to our economic relations. We don't have a lot of trade between our two countries, but some of the areas are very promising, and both Russia and the US are interested in that. And finally, the hotspots, the hotbeds throughout the world, the North Korean nuclear issue. All of these issues are something that both Russia and the US are involved in, and we need to have dialogues on the expert level to resolve this issue, and we are ready to restore full format talks on these issues. Let's have a couple more questions. Lev Ivanov, Arguments and Facts. In Paris, you spoke to Mr. Macron, and one of the issues you discussed, it's not just about investing money. We are ready, both to us and to the Syrian state and the Syrian people. As part of our joint work, we'll be able to create new jobs in Syria, to restore infrastructure in Syria. There are a lot of things to do in Syria, trust me. And as for the humanitarian component, we, as you know, we are constantly providing humanitarian aid to Syria. And I believe that our European part are ready as well to cooperate with us in along these humanitarian lines. We've talked about that even in Istanbul earlier, when I talked about the provision of various medical aid. And Mr. Macron and others were very understanding, and I hope that this work will continue. Some of the we delivered humanitarian aid to Syria using our and French aircraft, and I hope that this work will continue, aided by all the countries interested in restoring Syria, because only by restoring the country will we be able to provide people with an opportunity to return to their homes, to provide refugees with the future. And of course, refugees can only return to their homes if they want to. Nobody is going to force them. But if we create the basic conditions, basic infrastructure, electricity, and so on and so forth, if we restore all that, they will return by themselves. All we need to do is get rid of all these phobias we have and get rid of the political problems, political challenges we face, and just help the people. Mr. President, you just said that it makes no sense right now to meet in the Normandy format. So what you're saying is that and will not do anything, right? Well, the current president of Ukraine is not interested, as we can see, in implementing the Minsk agreement. The Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine has agreed to make the Donbass region to change its status, but Mr. Poroshenko did not sign the law. Maybe if the powers in Ukraine change, maybe the newcomers will change the situation. I don't know if it's going. Question. RIA Novosti. During a short conversation of a meeting in the upcoming future. No, we haven't planned anything so far, but we have discussed the tragedy that happened. I'm talking about the downing of a Russian plane. We believe that they have nothing to do with the tragedy. We also discussed a number of other issues related to our bilateral cooperation in the region and in Syria on the whole. As for any specific schedules for our upcoming meeting, bilateral meeting, this wasn't something we discussed, no. Interfax. Mr. President, Saudi Arabia and limit the production of oil. No, I'm not going to say anything about limiting the production of oil, because every word here is has a very high weight. But the fact that we need to cooperate with Saudi Arabia is self-evident. We are going to cooperate with Saudi Arabia. Positive. We have a lot of positive results with OPEC, and according to Russian experts, the changes, the volatility we see today is temporary. The price is very unstable, but it can actually start rising again. As you know, we have discussed this thing as well with Mr. Trump. And it means that they are importing less and less oil and gas. This changes the global hydrocarbon market as well. A lot depends on the price. Right now the price has decreased a little, and that is why there are changes in the market. All of it is related. We need to have an optimal price both for producers and for consumers of petrochemicals and oil products and gas.
Hey, Thomas. Go back to where your delusional shit is, with your 2 subscribers. Okay, Thomas? Do you realize your boys are... Do you realize that your men are getting killed out there? Huh, atheist? Huh, Slipknot? Huh, bud? Hey, Thomas, do me a favor. Go back and play in Pokemon, bitch. How about that? Well, you too damn worried about what I'm doing. You know what you need to do? You need to follow direction and get right behind me like Jeff Gordon did with Earnhardt. That's how you won championships. You're a rookie. You're a kid and you need to grow up. So do me a favor. Get the fuck out of my fucking life. You got me? I try to help you and your friends. And what did you two too damn worried about? Playing your fake ass music that knocks you off of your live stream. I told you not to play your music on live stream or they would kick you off, and you didn't listen to me. And then you blame me. Not getting subscribers? I'll tell you why you're not getting subscribers. It's because you don't got the balls of what I'm doing right now. You decide what you want to do. Who's delusional now when I've got 30,000 subscribers on 5 channels, closing in on 40? So, do me a favor. Do me a favor, Thomas. Go to hell. Because you're going to be put there. By the way, Birmingham police is looking for you. For threatening one of the girls. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? Get the fuck out of here. You've been removed. And if you come back again, I'm going to have the men come at you. Like they did on my other YouTube channel. Anybody else wants to play? Huh? Hey, y'all want a war? Y'all got one.
The previous price was something we believed was quite good. Right now, our budget is $40 per barrel, but we are going to have, in the upcoming year, this year, we're going to have a budget surplus. I think last year, I believe...
Lindsay, I think my phone's fixed. I don't know yet. I had problems yesterday. We had ice and snow here in Alabama. That's why we're having problems with the live streams. I told y'all it was coming. Nobody listened. I guess you'll start listening now. And you're going to listen to Putin very soon. Because the boys... America is getting screwed over by your stupid government. And Russia's going to save you.
With a very low debt, which is a great basis for continuing our work in a very stable and consistent manner and achieving better results in terms of GDP growth and structural changes in the economy. That is all. Thank you.
I did the best I could. I told you the weather was going to fuck it up today. I told you your time is about to be shut down, Thomas. I promise you, man. I promise you. You're about to lose your channel. Actually, YouTube is about to go in the drink. You won't be no more YouTube, and there won't be no more hate speech. Your hate speech will be over. You should have listened to me, man. You would have followed my direction. You would have had more subscribers and worked with me and made money. Because I'm getting donations on Facebook. All right, I'm done for tonight. 2 hours and 19 minutes. I'm wore out. Y'all have a nice day. I've got more news coming very, very soon. That was 12 news stories, guys, in 2 hours. I told you I had a lot coming. If you want to see more, tune in on my Facebook, Birmingham, Alabama, Andrew Jackson. I'm the best in the world of taking down the naysayers and the fake YouTube channels. I'm the Speaker of the Marines Militia, anonymous.